And we're recording. Cool. Awesome. All set to go. Mic's working. Video's working. Cool. Okay. Yep. What am I missing before we start here? Oh, of course. Hey, Google, play Gloria by Laura Branigan.
Gloria by Laura Branigan. Sure. Playing on Spotify.
This is the CreaseCast. Here's your host, Lach in the Crease.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vancouver Canucks have made it to the second round. Woohoo! Oh my God. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the CreaseCast. I'm Lachlan Irvin. I also go by Lach in the Crease, depending on who you ask. I'm a little bit I don't want to say frazzled. I am just on cloud nine. I think we all are right now. Wow, what a turn of events, right? From the last time we talked on this show, the Blues tied the series off of two great games from Jake Allen, Ryan O'Reilly turning into Ryan O'Reilly. It looked like it kind of felt like the Canucks were done. It kind of felt that way. And then you go to the point where it's 3-1 St. Louis in Game 5 at one point in the second period. And then all hell breaks loose in the second period. And 4.5 periods of hockey later, here we are. The Vancouver Canucks have unseated the defending Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues, capping it off with a 6-2 win in Game 6, and they will move on to face the Vegas Golden Knights. Wow. I keep saying this, I just can't believe where we're at this point with this hockey team and just what has transpired here over the last few months, or the last, not even a month, 22 days since hockey has officially come back. Just everything with this Canucks team. We have seen them play some of the best, probably arguably the best hockey all season. And it came months after the season would have originally ended. It comes in August in this weird return to play tournament. The Canucks just show up and play this amazing run of hockey. Yes, they lose a couple games where they don't look so good, but they keep bouncing back with these full team effort victories and it becomes clear that if they, play at their best, they can beat some damn good hockey teams. And they do it here against the Blues. Wow. I can't believe it. Especially just the fact that we're here talking about it, the show, when I started this at the beginning of the season, if you told me not only are you going to be doing playoff games in the middle of August or playoff games in general, you're going to be talking about a playoff series win on your first go. Hell yeah. Oh my God. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed starting this show off with Gloria, because hell yeah, we beat the Blues? Yeah, we're going to start off by playing their anthem, their national anthem or team anthem from last year from their cup win. Of course we're going to start with that. I can't believe, it's not even just that they won. It's the fact that the way they won is so fantastic. They didn't just eke out a victory. It wasn't this, so close and they got a lucky bounce here or there to save their season sort of thing. It's not a fluke. It wasn't a fluky win. Neither of those wins were fluky. They came out and played the best damn hockey this Vancouver Canucks team has played all season. And they earned those victories. They earned the games 1 and 2, and they earned games 5 and 6 with their great play. And that's what it takes in the playoffs. Yes, some teams win off of luck. There's a lot of luck involved when it comes to a playoff series, but you still have to be a damn good team to get that luck in the first place, to make that luck happen for you. And they're doing it. And they're playing like a real playoff team. And here they are with the arguably the least likely team out of the final 8 in the NHL to be here. And they have a shot. They're 12 wins away from a Stanley Cup. I can't believe it. This is amazing. We can worry about all the cap ramifications and the whether or not they'll be this good again next year stuff for later, because right now we're just having some fun. They won these last couple of games not because of excellent play from the bottom six. After game 4, there was this concern when Travis Green said, that he's not concerned about the bottom six. I know a lot of people, including myself, were like, what are you talking about? They haven't scored. They're not putting up any points. They're getting caved in in the advanced statistics and puck possession. How can you expect this group to keep going and keep doing, not just get bulldozed over eventually? They came alive in game 5, and they rewarded Travis Green with some amazing hockey, specifically Mr. Tyler Motte, the short king, coming up with 4 goals in 2 games. Only one was an empty netter. One was just a beautiful end rush where he just deked Alex Pietrangelo out of his jockstrap, which, by the way, have the Canucks scored more highlight reel goals in these playoffs than they did in the entire regular season? It feels like it. That goal, he just goes right through Pietrangelo, who doesn't have a stick because his broke on this power play on a Blues power play, and Motte scores a shorthanded goal to give the Canucks the lead in game 5. Like unbelievable. You never would have seen it coming. And then he scores the game winner, the 4-3 winner on Jake Allen. He just rips one past Jake Allen to win that game, to win game 5 and in the second period. And the Canucks hold on to finish them off with Jacob Markstrom playing some damn good hockey. Like, who could have seen this coming from Tyler Motte? Who could have seen that Brandon Sutter had 3 assists in game 6? Where did that come from? Who could have seen that Jay Flippin' Beagle got the first goal of the game in game 6? Like, Antoine Roussel had a goal. These so many great moments for the bottom 6. Jake Virtanen. How could I forget about Jake Virtanen? I reamed him out in the last episode, and he ends up playing 2 great hockey games after that. He ends up playing probably his 2 best games of his career, honestly, if we're being honest here, including one where he scores a goal by just making a smart hockey play, which sometimes is difficult for him just because he very much, I don't want to say sticks to the script, but sometimes he panics, and sometimes, he just does what he's told on the ice. He got creative and took a smart risk because he noticed Jake Allen inching off that post on a power play. Jake Allen just leaves a little bit of room in that post. And instead of passing it out in front to JT Miller, who's got double coverage, he just quickly whips it at the side of the net. It hits Allen and bounces in. That's a great play. You never saw that from Jake Virtanen during the regular season. And here it is in the playoffs, making some great plays. And I owe the people a shotgun Jake. We'll get to that at the end of the episode. But he gets the job done. Like, he helped get the job done. He tied that game after they were down 3-1. I could go through the list, and we'll probably will go through the list, because there are so many guys who showed up in this game, who showed up and put on one of their best efforts as a hockey team, and a very complete game. There wasn't one player on that Canucks team, especially in game 6, where it was like, oh, they're not looking so good. There were a couple scary looking shifts where they were just getting hemmed in their own zone for a while. But nobody stuck out as having a horrible night. They looked amazing. And this is the kind of thing that it takes to win, is a complete team effort. And it takes heroes popping up from places you don't expect to win. That's what some of the best Canuck teams of all time have done in 1982 and 1994. Those teams, yes, they had Bure. Well, yes, the 94 Canucks had Bure and Linden and Jeff Courtnall and Kirk McLean and the usual suspects, but they were getting big nights from other players too, like Greg Adams and Nathan Lafayette and you could go down the list, Dana Merzen, Dave Babich, all of them. Sergio Momesso, I think, had an overtime winner at one point. You need moments where those guys who maybe don't always contribute a lot, you need them to step up. You can't always be just your best players scoring, because they can't carry a whole team on their back for 60 minutes because you're only on the ice for about, if you're getting a crazy amount of ice time, you're only out there for a third of the game. And so they need those players to step up, and they did, and they showed up, and they came out and played inspired hockey. Those bottom two lines were fantastic in those last two games. And now it's crazy because, we gave all of these players so much crap during the regular season, and rightfully so. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they didn't deserve any of it just because they scored some goals in the playoffs. But they are making us, giving us new reasons to like them and to enjoy them and to be like, okay, they can do something. They can do something. Where is this? Where's this? Well, how do we get this regularly from you? How do we get this regular contribution? Because if we can do this, if they can do this all the time, it's hard to stop. It's hard to stop a team when they're getting this sort of contribution from their players at all times. It's asking a lot, but how can you not it's just crazy. It's crazy. They've played some amazing hockey in these last couple of games. Game 5 was nerve-wracking and intense, and it really did feel at points like there was no way they were going to walk out of here with anything. With it really did feel like when it was 3-1 Blues in Game 5 that they were done. It felt like the end. It was like, well, they put up a good fight, but this is not our year. This isn't our series. Unfortunately, we've come far. It's exciting, but that's it. This is clearly it. And then you get Tyler Motte scoring. You get 2 goals from him. You get a goal from Jake Virtanen. You get JT Miller starting to come back just by whacking at a puck in front of Jake Allen, which was the thing that they were having trouble with in the first 2 games against Jake Allen, where they weren't getting shots, where they weren't getting rebounds and making him uncomfortable the way they were with Jordan Binnington. And they jammed at the puck. He just jams at it, gets the puck to pop loose and knocks it in. And that's cues up the comeback in that second period. And that's what it takes. And then you have Jacob Markstrom just holding down the fort for the rest of the night. And it's a complete game. It's, and then all of a sudden it felt like, oh, nope, we got this. We got this series. And then, I don't know about everyone else, but it's still like the Canucks, because of course, even when they're leading a series, you just think, oh my God, there's something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. It always does with this team. And especially going into Game 6, I felt like, okay, this is going to be another game where Jake Allen comes out and plays some good hockey, and you're going to have to really take him out of his comfort zone again and find a way to get through to him, and not just on the straight main street shots that they got a couple times there. You have to get jamming at loose pucks and everything. And then Craig Berube decided to start Jordan Binnington again. I think maybe he was overconfident, but as soon as I saw the Jordan Binnington will start for the Blues tweet, I was like, series over. We win. Everybody, congratulations. And that is being overly cocky, because yes, this guy was a goaltender for a team that won the Stanley Cup last year and took them and helped take them to the Cup in the first place. But he had been atrocious in the first 2 games, and the Canucks just seem to kill him every time he plays, and they seem to be throwing him off. And I was kind of just like, as soon as they put him in, I'm like, either he is going to come out with Canuck luck, and the other Canuck luck's going to kick in, and he's going to have a shutout evening where he stops everything in like 40 shots. He stops 40 shots and shuts them out. Or the Canucks are going to just keep getting to him. And I remember just right as I think it was Adam Gaudette, who I'm so glad got in those last 2 games. That was a huge, big change that really mattered for this team. And really, because again, I felt like his 1 game against Minnesota was not a fair enough judge of his playoff abilities. And so when he came back in for games 5 and 6 and had 2 really good games, I was like, this is why you need him. He's energy. You need this guy in your lineup. He gets the first shot at Binnington early in that game. It's a shot. It's not a great shot. It's right into the chest of Binnington. And the Binnington bobbled it. He bobbled that shot. Like he didn't quickly just swallow it up into his chest. It hit him, it bounced, he had fumbled it a little bit and then gloved it down. And as soon as I see that, I'm like, okay, they're already in his head. This guy's not here. He does not have his A game. He left his goaltending instincts in St. Louis. He's not ready for this. He's not gonna just keep throwing shots to the net and you will find goals going in. You'll get some goals to go in. And sure enough, just like 8 minutes later, Tyler Motte scores a beautiful goal. like, once again, just like, where has this been? Where is not Tyler Motte, Jay Beagle. Jay Beagle scored. It's just like this shot. Where has this been? Where's this coming from? He just gets the shot out in front, puts it to the glove side, which hasn't been Jordan Binnington's weakness in this series. He gets the shot, just whips it. Binnington doesn't see it, goes right around him and in. And it's 1-0. And you're just feeling like, oh, you feel it. You feel it come in. You feel this game going in the right direction. They go into the second period with the 1-0 lead. Antoine Roussel gets a really bad goal. Like, I mean, good on him for shooting the puck and getting pucks on net, but Jordan Binnington should have had it. It goes under his arm. It goes under his I think it was his glove hand again in the end. And what's interesting about that, especially, is in the first period, there was I think it was it McEachern took a shot on Jacob Markstrom, and Markstrom took a long range shot out on Markstrom. He had one defenseman in front, a Canuck defenseman in front. Markstrom reaches out for it, misses, and it hits the post. And it's like, oh God, like that's like, some people are like, oh my God, that's scary that he just let that just happened, right? Like, oh, that can't be good for Markstrom's confidence. And what I said at the time and I said on Twitter, was that, like, the good news, if you want to look at a bright side, yes, he whiffed on the shot, but he had his whole net covered. The reason that puck hits the post is because there's no net left. There's no net left for that shooter to find, because Markstrom had it covered. He was centered correctly. He had to reach when that puck was coming at him. He reached out of his position to grab it. It wasn't coming in at his arm. And I said, thank God they didn't shoot directly at the arm and hope that it did. And, because they didn't want to shoot at the arm because his glove hand had been very good. Luckily, this guy shot far, hoping he would get the lucky deflection off the post and in. Because he reached out what was out of his position, so even though it hit the post, the good news was he was centered correctly. Then you get the Antoine Roussel goal where Jordan Binnington, where he does shoot in at the goaltender and just hope that the goaltender whiffs on it. And he does. And Binnington drops. It goes under his glove, under his pad, like over his pad, right in that perfect area where I tell players to shoot all the time. When I was a goaltender, when I was playing even like beer league or minor league, I always told guys, shoot like that. There's a weird spot where when the goalie drops, that position, a hole opens up when he drops into the butterfly. Shoot there, and you might get it through his arm. And that's what Roussel did, and that's why they got the 2-0 lead. And all of a sudden, it's just like, this is our night. You know what? They got this. And then there's the perfect tic-tac-toe passing play with Troy Stecher finishing it off. And Troy Stecher, guy who is so often the name in trade rumors, getting his second goal of the playoffs and of the series, on a fantastic play. Like, they looked like the Golden Knights out there. They looked like a President's Trophy team just toying with their food, like, this is like, this is us playing like the June, like, it's like that South Park where the little kids hockey team goes up against the Red Wings and they just destroy them the entire way through. Like, that was kind of that passing play. It just looked like the Blues were just in a completely different league coming in to play this Vancouver Canucks team that's an NHL like challenger and a cup contender, and the Canucks were just like messing with them at this point, like, oh, we're gonna Harlem Globetrotter this puck around, doodly doo, as they're just passing the puck in between all of the guys. Like, I think every single player on the ice touched it for the Canucks. I think every guy on that line touched the puck, and they probably could have gotten assists on it. But Stecher finishes it off, puts it in on that blocker side, and it's like, oh my God, beautiful. Like, this team is playing the best hockey of its life. Then Brock Besser gets a power play goal. And he's finally off the schneid. It took him, he didn't get a single goal through this entire series, and he just really needed the luck to come for him and a shot to give for him. And he ripped one over through Binnington for the 4-0 win that chases Binnington out of the game. And Jake Allen comes back in. And it's like, I mean, this is what happens when you start the minor leaguer or the backup goaltender against the Canucks. Like, how dare you insult us? How dare you insult this team by playing your second-tier goaltender against the Vancouver Canucks? You should have put in Jake Allen, guys. That was your mistake. That was the mistake. That's what killed the Blues. They decided to go with the guy with the second-rate goaltender as opposed to their actually good goaltender. They went with Matt Murray instead of Marc-Andre Fleury. This is why the Blues are not here anymore. This is why they're done. And also just because the Canucks played a complete effort and put in an amazing game. There were scary moments when Jaden Schwartz scored. In I think like the 14-minute mark of the third period, it's 4-1, and you're just like, because this is Vancouver. We are conditioned that the worst is always going to happen. Yes, they will take us to these amazing heights, but they will always find a way to shatter us, to just destroy all beauty in the world at some point, right? And you're just conditioned that way. Thankfully, it didn't take long for Tyler Motte to get back on the board with his third period with the 2-on-1 goal. Jay Beagle again. Where has this been, Jay Beagle? Like, were you? I mean, if you were saving it for the playoffs, that's great. Thank you. But I would like to see this more during the regular season, please. This is amazing. And Tyler Motte getting rewarded for really working hard in this series. Yeah, he got caved in on the possession numbers in the early going, but he really worked and he hustled and he wanted goals and he got them and looked like a damn star doing it. I am so sorry, Tyler Motte, for getting mad about the return for Thomas Vanek all those years ago. I'm so sorry to you, Tyler. And ends up finishing it with that empty net goal. And they're moving on. I can't believe they did it. There was no player in this game where I look at where they were like, oh, they were atrocious tonight or they looked horrible. No, everybody pitched in. It was a complete game. It was a playoff team winning a playoff, making a playoff victory happen. They came out, played a dominant full effort, and they deserved it. And a lot of that also goes to Travis Green for, kind of finding some new interesting ways to juggle the lineup a little bit. This is an article from Thomas Drance where he, there was like the whole thing in the first 4 games where Ryan O'Reilly was just terrorizing the Pettersson line, the Lotto line. They weren't getting anything going. And so Travis Green made the decision to flip the centers. Bo played with Besser and JT Miller for good stretches of time and started the game 5 that way when they had first change, when they didn't have last change. And Pettersson going with Pearson and Eriksson, and it's Louis Eriksson. And it's like, you're kind of like, are you crazy? Why would you do that? But it really worked because now the Blues had to make these tough choices of, okay, well, shoot, are we going to just keep putting Ryan O'Reilly on Pettersson and leave this lethal Besser-Miller-Horvat combo exposed? Or are we going to go there and leave Elias Pettersson, one of the best scorers in the game, exposed? You're stuck. They were stuck either way. And it really, really, it really worked for them. That all of a sudden they'd warmed up the way they normally do and then came out with this different set, and it threw the Blues off completely. And it was good coaching. It was Travis Green is a guy who sometimes one of his biggest issues is sometimes he's very he knows what he wants, and sometimes he just he has trouble adjusting to the game, to the pace of play, and adjusting to the to what's needed at the time. He did it here. He did a great job adjusting mid-series and making changes and doing something different and a little bit unusual to kind of to win the chess battle a little bit, to win the chess match. It made perfect sense, and it worked so perfectly that they had this team playing where they could throw the centers into a different situation. It completely messes with what the Blues might want to do against them. It made perfect sense, and it worked like a charm. And this team just comes out here, plays 2 of their best hockey games, and now they're on to the second round. They're in the final 8 teams in the NHL, and they're left. I'm trying to find the official changes here. Where are they? They were somewhere on here. I'm getting all of a sudden a lot of messages. Why? Why am I popular now? What is this? Took the Russia's usual order forward and blah blah blah. It's they put the extra skater out in the lineup card, which was Zach McEwen, and they changed that later. And it doesn't seem to show me. Here we go. The Greens versus Canuck forward line featured Horvat, Besser, and Miller, a combo that only played 31 minutes together all season. That's insanity. They were the 22nd most frequently used line this season from the Canucks. The second line was Pettersson, Pearson, and Eriksson, and the fourth line, Motte, Beagle, Virtanen, were essentially never before seen combos in the regular season. The third line was a bit more familiar. Roussel, Gaudette, Sutter were Vancouver's 17th most commonly used forward line during the regular season. Vancouver's defensive pairs were also shook up, revealing a lineup that looked like the product of intense stress and thought. And, it worked. They forced the Blues to kind of really, all of a sudden kind of throw them off mid-game, all of a sudden into this lineup where they've never seen before, that no team has ever seen before. And there was nothing they could do. They didn't have a plan built in for this. So it ended up sucking the life out of the Blues slowly as they just couldn't get through. And when it's all said and done, I mean, the guy at the end of the rink really made that possible as well, that they could take these kind of risks with the lines, and that's Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom had 2 amazing games, and in game 6, in game 5, there was the save where he just dove across a weird bounce on the puck hit the ref and bounced right on front to Jacob Delarose, and Markstrom just goes, no, and saves it and just throws his whole body into it, which I always love. I love those saves. And Jacob played amazing, and this is a guy who was worked so hard to be in this position and to be this kind of a goaltender. And by the end of game 5, even it was already okay, his contract comparable is going to be like Mitch Marner. It won't actually, hopefully, because that's more than the Canucks can afford. But it really did feel just as the game progressed, it's okay, now it's an Erik Karlsson contract. What's Connor McDavid making again? What's his contract? Just give him that. Just give him that at this point. He's too good. And that was Jacob Markstrom. Markstrom outperformed 2 goaltenders that won the Stanley Cup last year. Yes, Jake Allen didn't play much during that cup run, but he outdueled Jordan Binnington, who did win the cup, part of the cup team for the Blues. Those 2 guys, that tandem, has cup rings. Jacob Markstrom just blew them both out of the water and played an amazing series, and is a huge reason why the Canucks are still alive and why the Canucks might make it farther. You never know. You honestly can't count them out anymore. That's what this team is now. You can't realistically say that, they're going to get cooked or they're going to get destroyed in the next round, which is fantastic. You can't realistically sit here and say that, they're going to get their caved in. And I've said before that, now they're going up against the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that has historically kicked their ass every time they played them, save for I think a few OT wins the Canucks have against them. The Knights are one of those teams that just every time the Canucks look atrocious against, they've never been able to beat. It's a matchup that the Canucks struggle with every single damn time. And yet you can't really say that that's going to be the case here. Even people are already saying the Knights Canucks series is going to probably go, I've seen already, most predictions are saying 6 or 7 games, which is, again, if they won those and any of those 3 games is in regulation, through 2 or 3 wins is in regulation. That would be one more regulation win that they had against the Knights in the last 3 years. Because that's this team now. This team is capable of doing things that we never expected from the regular season and from seeing them in regular season play, or even the last few years. Where did it come from? I have no idea, but hey, they might do some damage. They might do some they already have done some damage. They've unseated the defending Stanley Cup champions. But they might do more. They might not be done yet. And that's fantastic. And there's of course all the conversation. There's a tweet from Steve Simmons that I want to address before we get into the next series. Before we get into the Canucks Knights series a little more in depth here. Steve Simmons, a reporter who says things, interesting things. Of course, Vancouver starts tomorrow which I have a bone to pick with in a second about that. But for now, it starts at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:30 here, which of course makes sense. Vancouver and Vegas are both Pacific time zone teams. So of course they're going to play it at 7 or later because that's when the ideal time for both fan bases to see that game, right? Steve Simmons tweeted, and he's not the only one, I'll say this, he's not the only person tweeting this. One team left in Canada, and the NHL can't figure out how to schedule them at a time when the country can be awake to watch? Dumb of Sportsnet, dumb of the NHL. That's an 11:30 p.m. start in Nova Scotia, midnight in Newfoundland. Okay, I just want to say that tweets like this is why people think Canada, this is why Americans think Canada is a tiny island. It's just a very large island with a lot of people on it. Because apparently you can just draw, because like this insinuates really that we're small and that you can drive from one end of the country to the other in like 4 hours. Because Canada, why is this a thing? Like this Canada's team thing. I would love if other Canadian people got on board with the Canucks. That's great. But if they don't want to, and they want to cheer for, say, somebody in their own time zone, yeah, that's fine. Who cares? Like, it's not a big deal. You don't see people being like, oh, they're going to, if the Canadian team is going up against an American team in a cup final, for example, you don't see people being like, all right, let's get behind America's team, right? Like, no, that's stupid. It's a huge country with 50 states. You really think everyone in that country is going to just jump on the coattails of the one last American team just because they're from the same country? No, that's not how anything works. Hell, you can't even get most teams from the same state, fans from the same state to cheer for each other because they hate each other. Like, this is kind of the same thing with Canada. We have the same amount of people, or California. I think there's more people in California, in the state of California, than there are in all of Canada. And you would never see a Golden State Warriors fan cheering for the Lakers or the Clippers or vice versa. They hate each other. They don't want to cheer for that team because they're all rivals. And it's like in Canada, it's kind of the same deal. Like, why would a Calgary fan want to cheer for the Canucks? Why would a Toronto Maple Leafs fan want to cheer for the Canucks? If it comes down to, say, them against Boston, then yeah, maybe some Leaf fans will jump over to the bandwagon, or and Canadians fans. Or, you might even see people cheer for the Canucks in Calgary and Edmonton just because they don't like Vegas, right? That might happen, but they're not Canada's team. They're Vancouver's team. At the end of the day, I will admit that I am somebody who generally cheers for the Canadian team if they're left, partially because this country could really use a Stanley Cup again since it's been, since 1993. It's been a while, but that's not for everybody. And it's not, it doesn't make sense that that's the way people should treat it, especially in a country that has 7 hockey teams. They don't all like each other. That's just how it goes. They're not going to like each other. They will cheer for a different team if they don't like them, because all of us, generally speaking, are kind of rivals with one another, interconnecting. The only team that everybody kind of likes is Winnipeg. They're the least offensive Canadian team. Everybody likes Winnipeg because Winnipeg is Winnipeg. Everybody loves them. They don't have an airport, but they have our love. And that's the way it goes. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep if the rest of Canada decides they don't want to cheer for the Canucks. They didn't cheer for us in 2011. But hey, if you want to jump on board, welcome. We're going to have some fun. Hopefully we're going to go a couple more weeks than this. Hopefully there's more to come, but I don't expect you to. If you're a Canadian, you shouldn't be obligated to cheer for Vancouver, especially in this case. It's one thing when it's the Raptors or the Blue Jays because they're the only team in the country. That's different. This doesn't make sense. There's 7 teams. Nobody should feel obligated to cheer for the Canadian team that's left. It doesn't make any sense. And the start time shouldn't, if you really want to get up and watch this game in Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, you will do it. You'll find the way to do it if it starts at midnight your time. That's a sacrifice that they can make on their own. Give us our start time that makes sense for us because it's our damn team. I don't care if you want a 4:30 start time. Screw you. I'm at work if it's 4:30 start time here, lots of people are still at work. Screw you. Give us a time that works for us. And for the Knights for that matter, because they're also in the same time zone. Why would they want to get up? You got to think of them too, right? Because hey, this is a 2-country thing. Like this is a multiple market thing. It's not just about Canada here. Even if both games are in Canada. All right. Now Vegas. I've said this before, the Knights are the team that scares me the most. And that right from the beginning, I've always said that the Knights scare me the most out of any team in the Western Conference because they're just so stacked from top to bottom. Thanks in large part to teams like the Florida Panthers just giving them Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith because why? This team is so structured and built. And there's no real holes in this lineup at all. The third, yes, they're maybe not the most biggest names anymore. It's not as stacked, I would say, as last season's Knights team was, especially in the bottom six. The bottom six now is Nick Cousins, Nicholas Roy, and Alex Tuch, who are all good. Who are all very good. And they're the according to Corsica, they're the number six, the sixth best third forward line in the NHL. So they're doing pretty damn well. The only hole, there's Will Carrier, Chandler Stevenson, and Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves is going to be, why do we keep running into jerks, into chippy, dirty playing jerks? First it was Ryan Hartman, then it was David Perron. Now we have to deal with Ryan Reeves. Are you kidding me? This sucks. That part sucks. But they have a good mixture of small skilled and quick players and taller, more physical guys. It's a good balance. It's not about, they didn't go all in on we're going to be big or we're going to be small and speedy. They went very much a very balanced group. They have a little bit of which is, especially in today's NHL, it's a couple big guys sprinkled into a group of smaller, more skilled and quick players, which is what the Knights have done, and they've done a very good job with that. Their defense is stacked it's Braden McNabb with Nate Schmidt. You got Shea Theodore, who the Ducks let walk for some reason. Alec Martinez, I forgot about that. They picked him up from the Kings at the trade deadline in February, and I forgot, and I'm just like, oh my God, this team is a menace. Nick Holden and Zach Whitecloud, who are apparently the third defensive pairing in the league, in terms of playing on the third pairing slot. Oh man, this team is just, they're a menace. They're an absolute menace. And then that's not even getting into the fact that they have both Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner in goal, who are both amazing goaltenders. But at the same time, only position where the Canucks might have a slight advantage because Jacob Markstrom is just playing out of his goddamn mind. But even then, it's the fact that there's two of them. There's only one Markstrom. There's two. There's a Fleury and a Lehner, who are both very, very good and very capable of taking teams long distances in the postseason. Although, Robin Lehner's never done it, he's proven that he's very good. He is a very good goaltender. I don't know what to, they scare me. I mean, the Blackhawks managed, I will say this, the Blackhawks put up a damn good fight, more than I expected out of them. They won a game. They kept, I think the last game was they only lost by a goal. And I think the other two, games 2 and 3, they lost in overtime. So that to me is interesting because that's a puck luck thing. That is very much a one shot can win and change a series, right? The Canucks have already done pretty decently in overtime. They lost the one game 3, to the Blues in overtime. But they're a team that can put magic and produce magic just at the right time to take a victory, to win a game. And that's what it takes to win in the playoffs. And this Knights team, I mean, frankly, I expected them to not only sweep the Blackhawks, but to just stomp them out where it's 5 goals, where they're giving up 5 goals, where they're winning by 5 every single night. Corey Crawford stood on his head, which helped. And Jacob Markstrom, again, capable of doing that. So if they're only winning by close games like that against a Hawks team that was not even close in a normal year to making the playoffs, I don't see why the Canucks can't possibly, maybe, pull out some magic again and win this thing. I'm not going to, I think at the very least, if the Hawks can win 1 game, the Canucks can win 2. I don't think that's crazy. This Canucks team is playing great, inspired hockey. Yes, the Knights are one of those teams that's a huge Achilles heel for them, but I don't see why they why not, right? Why Motte? Why Motte them? We're already in the crazy Twilight Zone. Why couldn't the Canucks possibly manage to win 4 games against the Vegas Golden Knights despite never winning a single one in regulation? Hell, the Canucks power play is very good, and if we all remember from last year's playoffs, what happened to the Knights when they gave power play time to the San Jose Sharks, it killed them. Like, they gave up 4 goals on a 5-minute major. Now, hopefully, the Canucks don't do anything to the Canucks that would require a 5-minute major, because that means somebody got hurt badly. But hey, if the Canucks power play can just keep going, and the Knights don't have a decent power play, or penalty kill, I should say, I believe like 23rd in the league, not great. The Canucks might be able, if they're going to win this series, the power play is going to be crucial. If they can get the Knights to spend time in the box, that could be the difference that helps them win a few extra games here. Because that power play is lethal when it's on, and they finally got back on to the scoring pace again when they in Game 6 with Brock Besser's goal. So the key is going to be, getting the Knights to give them power play time, because this is exactly where the Canucks can kill a team. It's going to be Jacob Markstrom having to once again outplay two of the best goaltenders in the NHL in Leonard and Fleury. Likely Leonard for most of the series, because he's the better of the two. He's the better of the two right now. He's the hotter of the two. He's the hotter hand. And Pete DeBoer, here's the other thing. Travis Green, who outcoached Craig Berube, he is very much capable of outcoaching Pete DeBoer. I mean, I spent 2 seasons watching Pete DeBoer coach the San Jose Sharks. Sometimes he is a guy who gives a lot of ice time to less good players, and teams can expose that at points, can expose that issue. If Travis Green keeps adapting on the fly to what the Knights are throwing at him the way he did with the Blues in those last couple games, he is very capable of taking this team, of being able to outcoach a better team in the Golden Knights, because Pete DeBoer is a guy who I would say he has trouble with his lineups, and he does seem to really favor guys, lesser skilled players, and giving them more ice time than they're necessarily deserving of. I mean, Melker Karlsson and Marcus Sorensen got way too much ice time over guys like Timo Meier and Tomas Hertl on a game-to-game basis. It was a mess sometimes with that Sharks team, and they really underperformed sometimes because he didn't do as much with the great names he had, and he kept going back to his depth guys, thinking that this is the way to go, and getting too much into the favorites game. He maybe doesn't have enough time to have picked his favorites here yet, but there are weaknesses, a few weaknesses in that bottom 6 the Canucks could expose, and they could have a good opportunity to beat. That's what it's going to take. And this Canucks team is playing good hockey. They're playing hockey at a point where they could really be a killer, and they could pull off some extra upset time. I would say that the Canucks are right now playing hockey that could beat the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, and again, we're just having fun at this point, right? They don't need to beat the Knights to say this was a great year and a successful season. Once again, it's a case of, hey, let's go in, see what we can do. They did it with the Blues, and they won 4 games. They might be able to do it again here, and they might be able to have some fun and win a series that they weren't supposed to, that they're not supposed to in any way. I mean, they're the least likely team to come out of the second round, I think, in most people's mind. But they're capable. Right now, they're playing like a team that's capable of doing it. And right now, if you ask me who's gonna win this series, I'm going to say Canucks in 7. I'm going to say the Canucks are going to win this thing, and they're going to win it in that final game. They're going to get there, and they're going to shock the hockey world by beating the Golden Knights. I think they can do this. I think they've got it in them to get through these Titans. The way that they're playing, they really might be able to do it. They already took out the team that in the regular season was the best team in the Western Conference. Who's to say they can't do it with this Knights team, even though the Knights have given them so many problems? Why not? Why not at this point? Really, it would be just as just as crazy as everything else that's happened in 2020, why not the Canucks see the Canucks beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games? I think they have a chance. I really do. I think they've got a chance here. It's going to take a full team effort again, but hey, they did it in those last 2 games. They did it in all of their wins, frankly. I don't see why they can't pull this off and pull off another round of absolute magic. Even though this is like one of the best opponents the Canucks will have faced in a playoff series in their entire franchise history. Like, there are not a lot of teams that are better than this group that they have seen. Like, the last great team, I think the last team that was this good that they've played and complete was like the 0-2 Red Wings. That's how long you have to go back. It's that kind of case, right? This is a team that's playing inspired enough hockey that they could maybe once again stun the hockey world and find their way into the Final Four of the NHL. I think they got it. I think they can. I'm not going to say it's a guarantee because it's very much not, but I believe in my heart that they can win. I believe that they can get this done. They can win in 7 games or maybe even 6. I think they've got a shot. I'm going with Canucks in 7. That is my final choice. That is my pick there. Quickly, let's roll into one last thing I wanted to touch on before we get into all the other NHL stuff, because there's still some interesting NHL stuff to talk about besides the Canucks, is that the Canucks are starting tomorrow on Sunday, and I'm not happy about it because every other team is getting 2 days off. I'm very they announced midway yesterday that the Stars and the Avalanche are going to play tonight, Saturday, at I believe 5 p.m. And they're instead of giving everybody Saturday off, they're going to start the conference semifinals today. They're going to start the conference semifinals today, and then the Canucks play tomorrow on Sunday. And I'm just kind of like, why? Why the Canucks, by the way the calendar's been set up, they're the one team that gets only 1 day in between their last series and the next one. They get today off and then they play tomorrow. Why? That's such bullshit. Like, that to me is like, that's scheduling BS. Like, you're going to give this team 1 day off to recoup. Meanwhile, the Flyers, who played earlier in the same day as the Canucks, they get Sunday off too. They get Saturday and Sunday off, and they start their series with the Islanders on Monday. Why aren't the Canucks getting till Monday to play? Yes, I get the Knights have had a long layoff, and it would be about a week since they played. Why do the Canucks have to jump right into their series? Why can't they get an extra, just at least 1 day to recover? Like, it's not a conspiracy. It's just, in a way, but more to me, it's them going, we expect the Canucks not to be here very long. So we're going to get you right into that series so you can get on out of here, to me anyway. It's kind of like, no, they should get the 1 extra day off. They should. And they have to play games 5 and 6 back-to-back again? Stop doing the back-to-backs in playoff games, for God's sakes. I get that you have the opportunity because they're in the same city. Stop it. Just let them play. Give them their day off. Come on, they've earned it. They beat the defending champions, for God's sakes. Give them 1 day off. That's all I ask. Saturday and Sunday. Just give them the weekend to recover, please. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, did you have to? Like, I don't get the point. I don't get the scheduling. This scheduling is stupid. Yes, I get that they want to finish as quickly as possible. But the Canucks still, I think, deserve more than going from Game 6, day off, right into Game 1 of the next series. They deserve the weekend. They deserve the damn weekend for their efforts. Come on. They should get that reward. It sucks that they have to go right into Vegas. Come on. That's just horrible scheduling. I'm not going to say that this is like, it's not like that. I don't think they're purposely trying to fuck over the Canucks or anything. I just think it's bad scheduling. It's poor choice. Give everybody they should have given Saturday off for everybody and then started Colorado, Dallas on Sunday, in my opinion. That's how it should have gone. Sunday, Monday, you start everything. You get 2 series on Sunday, 2 series on Monday. Now it's 1 and I think a 2 on Sunday and then I think 1 on Monday for, I don't know. I don't get it. It makes no sense. All right. Let's jump into I have been talking a while. let's jump into the rest of the NHL. Let's specifically before we get into any second round stuff, I want to talk about Mike Milbury for a second. Because in the game again, I believe the Blue Jackets Lightning game, he said some unsavory things. He said a particularly unsavory thing where he said basically there's nothing to distract these players. There's not even women to distract these players because, of course he did. He's Mike Milbury. This guy is such a pain in the ass. And it's this guy, like, this isn't even the first stupid thing he said in these playoffs. Like, what was the other one? There was something. Oh, there was like highlights. They were showing highlights or they were showing like the crowd. There was it's an empty crowd, right? And he said it looks like the attendance at a women's hockey game because apparently this guy just hates women. Like, why did you need to make that comment? Why is this comment necessary? Does this add anything to the coverage? No. Does this add anything to the game? No. Why are you saying it? Why is NBC giving this man a platform? He doesn't provide any context, anything nuanced or interesting to these broadcasts, and it's so stupid that this guy has a job. In broadcasting, especially considering this is a man who, let's see, there was the whole Sedin thing where he called them Thelma and Louise at one point during the 2011 playoffs because this man is just a giant sexist asshole. Like, what the fuck? Like, it sucks that there are much better people who are much better suited for broadcasting, like including a lot of women and people of color who would do 1,000 times better of a job than Mike Milbury, but he gets to be here because he's an old fossil. And it's not even like he's a good manager or like he ever had a good career. This is a man who completely fucked up the New York Islanders. If you really, not that should really matter in this particular case, but why is this your gold standard for broadcasting? Why are you going to hire this idiot who's never done anything good, who's never had any sort of success in the National Hockey League? Why do you keep giving this man platform like he knows what he's doing? He clearly doesn't. This is a man whose biggest claim to fame is beating a fan with his shoe. It's almost like he doesn't give a shit. It's almost like he's not that noteworthy a person. He's a footnote and should be left a footnote in NHL history because all he's ever done is beat a guy with a shoe, say sexist stuff on broadcasts, and just trade Roberto Luongo because he thought Rick DiPietro was better. Like, this is clearly a guy who doesn't have good perception or good instincts. I mean, this is a man who thought Rick DiPietro was going to be better than Roberto Luongo. Maybe he doesn't have the best foresight in the world. Like, I don't get it. And, even the NHL came out with a statement, said we disagree with these comments, sort of thing, which is small. It's not, they shouldn't necessarily be patted on the back for saying anything, but it is very surprising that they said anything at all because they usually don't. So clearly he fucked up. If the NHL feels it's necessary to come out and say, yeah, this is not okay, and we told them, hey, this is not cool. We told NBC this is not cool. Apparently today, now thank God, according to Bruce Arthur of I believe the Toronto Star, he tweeted out, I was just told about an hour before I started recording, I was just told Milbury was spotted at Pearson Airport in Toronto, which is not in the bubble. Given the lack of traffic there being the airport, he would stand out. So he's gone, thank God, because honestly, why is this man on my TV? Like, why is he here? What does he provide? And then there was and especially considering in the aftermath of which we got an amazing quotes from Emily Kaplan of ESPN, a great article by Katie Strang of The Athletic, women who, provide something for the hockey community, far more than Mike Milbury has ever done in his damn career, other than all Mike Milbury has ever done is be a laughingstock at all the stupid things he's done in his entire career. And then you have these women coming out and saying, hey, this is bullshit. Why is this guy getting more airtime? Why is this guy getting a bunch of airtime instead of smart young people, particularly women who are very underrepresented in sports broadcasting? Why is this guy getting the airtime when he's going to say this shit? Like, what does he provide? Why is he here? Why is there no one else that can do this job? Like, hell, there are probably a good majority of other men that you could have hired that are giving far more nuanced takes than this idiot. Like, at the very least, it's like, get rid of him. Why is he still here? So thank God that looks like they've got rid of him. Hopefully they replace him with people and broadcasters far more representative of today in the sport, including women and people of color, because there's not a lot of them of either of those categories in sports right now, and especially in hockey. And we need more. We do, especially and here in Canada, we've been fortunate to get more Cassie Campbell during these playoffs. And Kevin Bieksa, yes, he's a former player, but he's not an old guy. He's not just an old guy who's had this job for 20 years because he knows all the broadcasters. He's just a newly retired player who's also providing really nuanced good stuff. Anthony Stewart, same thing. Like they're finding ways to get more nuanced people at Hockey Night in Canada, and this playoffs have been a gold standard for them, I think, in that regard. Kevin Bieksa has been phenomenal. Cassie Campbell's been phenomenal. Anthony Stewart's been phenomenal as well. All three of them, and all the other guys, including Colby Armstrong and a couple other guys. Like they're doing much better. NBC needs to step it up, and hopefully they do in the coming days. They have AJ Malesko, who's fantastic. I think they're using Kendall Coyne sometimes. I don't remember. I know they were for Sharks broadcasts. Hopefully they are. Maybe she's a good replacement right now. If they're not, this is where they're going. And it's great that hopefully this leads to, again, more women in hockey coverage and analysis, because we need it. And it's better for the sport. And more people of color at the same time. And this is why we're so happy that the Broadscast exists in Vancouver now, and that the Puck Bunnies podcast exists for everybody, for every market in the NHL. Like, this is the stuff we need, and this is the stuff that's going to get better over time. So I'm happy that at the very least, hopefully we get some good out of this, and hopefully this is the last we ever see of Mike Milbury in a broadcast setting, because why is he here? Why is he here? Thank God he's gone. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out there, Mike. The Calgary Flames, they did not give the Canucks the help they needed. In these playoffs, they imploded with a 3-0 lead, which is partially why a lot of us Canucks fans were very nervous going into this Game 6, because the Flames had a 3-0 lead very early in Game 6 and then just imploded. Like, I think what was it, 6-3 was the final? I'm blanking because it's been a couple days. But they didn't have Matthew Tkachuk, who had a concussion. But even still, they were going up against a Stars team that didn't have Ben Bishop, because he's also hurt right now. He's unfit to play. 7-3 was the final. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at Anton Khudobin. The goaltending just self-destructed a little bit. Poor Cam Talbot, who was very good, and who I've been singing his praises during these playoffs, just kind of stumbled at the finish at the finish line there a little bit. He got pulled. David Riddick came in, completely whiffed a couple times. Oops. Yikes. And then Talbot came in, finished the third period, because the game was kind of already lost by that point. The Flames are in a position where, and this is why Canucks analysts are very concerned. The Flames, remember, this is 5 years ago when the Flames beat the Canucks in the playoffs. They were supposed to be the next great thing, the next big core that was going to go on to do amazing things. Since they beat the Canucks, they have lost to the Ducks in the second round immediately after, lost to the Ducks in the first round, which was a sweep, lost to the Avalanche last year after having the best record in the Western Conference, beat the Jets in the qualifiers, but then lost to the Stars in the first round, the first official round of the playoffs again. This core has not done much. It's been a while. There have been numerous calls over the years to trade Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan and all these other guys. Now, for the record, I've always been somebody who's thought the Flames are a little bit overrated, but they still had a very good team that's really has not performed. It's not good. Like, that's not good. That team, seeing that team not find success, and I'm not even just talking about, like, yeah, they found regular season success, but they never got past the second round of the playoffs. And that's not good. Like, even the Carolina Hurricanes have already done more by going to the conference final last year. So where do you go here if you're Calgary is the question. I mean, they're kind of stuck. They're kind of stuck where they are. They don't have a lot of cap space. They've got most of their guys locked up. The only players that are coming off the books next year is Zach Rinaldo, Toby Reeder, and then they've got a couple RFAs in Andrew Mangiapane and Mark Jankowski. John Weisbrod's very own Mark Jankowski. Oh, God. This team is at a point where there's not a whole lot they can do besides cut bait with a lot of players. Matthew Tkachuk is very good, and he will be he is golden. Like, why wouldn't you, like, you know, he's obviously untouchable for them. But, you know, clearly changes need to be made. Oh, they're losing a lot of defense. I will say that. They're losing their UFAs in the Flames UFAs for defense are TJ Brody, Travis Hamonic, Derek Forbort, Eric Gustafson, Michael Stone. They're a little stuck. They're a little bit. They have a lot of guys coming off the books. And there's not a whole lot they can do to replace them. They're not a team in a position right now where it looks like they have a window open. They look like they're very much that window open and shut, or very quickly, or they had the opportunity and it just didn't go their way. Vancouver is already looking like in a much better situation than them now. There's that concern of, hey, the Canucks there's a very real chance, because the Canucks are in such cap hell, they could become the next Calgary Flames very quickly by not getting rid of bad contracts fast and surrounding Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, Jacob Markstrom with better players, with more skilled players. They could very much become the next Flames, who don't get anywhere past the second round, and their time never comes. So that's that concern. And that's the concern, is that this is the 2015 team. This is the 2015 Flames 5 years later as the Canucks, in the Canucks case. So with Calgary, I don't know what you can do. I mean, goaltending, I could see the Flames very much being one of those teams that goes out and puts a lot of money into finding a new goaltender again, because they've done a goaltending carousel since Brad Treliving took over as GM of the Flames. I would not be surprised if, honestly, like, this is just me, like, spitballing here. Would not be surprised at all if they tried to throw a dump truck, like a big trade at the Penguins for Matt Murray, who's an RFA this year. The Penguins already have Tristan Jarry, who's their goaltender of the future and who's their guy that they should keep. He should be their number one next season. So Matt Murray is a guy who's won 2 Stanley Cups. I think the Flames are going to look at Matt Murray, and especially because there's already been talk that Sean Monahan might be on the chopping block. Johnny Gaudreau is supposedly on the chopping block, which, I mean, I'll say on that one, they say they're going to trade Johnny. People are saying trade Johnny Gaudreau every season. I don't believe it until I see it with him. Sean Monahan sounds a little bit more like that sounds more like a trade that could happen. I would not be surprised to see, like, Sean Monahan heading out the door in exchange for, like, a Matt Murray, not because that's the right thing they should do, just because that feels like a Flames thing. That feels like what the Flames would be going after, is, here's this guy with 2 cups. This is who can be a solid goaltender. We should keep him, even though I've made my position on Matt Murray very clear, which is that he's okay. Those 2 Stanley Cups are kind of rose-colored glasses with Matt Murray. He's got a lot of flaws in his game. But I would not be surprised to see the Flames kind of go in that direction, but they really need more depth, particularly, and a better defense. That's for sure. I don't know where the Flames go from here. We'll see. It's going to be I think it's going to be a really interesting offseason for Calgary, and I think we're going to see a lot of turnover for them, and they might blow up that core. I would not be surprised if they blow up the core with them and Sam Bennett, Michael Backlund, and Sean Monahan. I would not be surprised if we see that this summer, or I guess this autumn, I should say, this off season. Let's go with that. All right, the second round of the playoffs. We're just going to quickly go through these because there's, what's there to say? Because there's not a lot to say. I'm just going to give my quick predictions here. Colorado Dallas starts tonight. Colorado looks like a goddamn machine. There were those first 3 games that were closer. And then the Avs there was the Coyotes won game 3. And then the Avs just decided, this series is we let them win 1 game. That's 1 game too many. We're just going to smoke them in the next 2. The game 4, they beat the Coyotes 7-1. And then in game 5, they won 7-1 again. 2 straight. They outscored the Coyotes in the final 2 games of that series, 14-2. Nazem Kadri looks amazing. Incidentally, poor Toronto. Sorry, Toronto. He's that was a rough. I mean, it was probably the right call to trade Naz after everything that had been going on with him and the issues against the Bruins. But it's not looking so good right now. He's very, very good. Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog. That team is firing on all cylinders. I maintain that the Canucks, I think, are built in a way that they could possibly take out the Avs, which is why I wanted them to play Colorado instead of Vegas, because I didn't like their odds as much against the Knights. But right now, I'm kind of thinking maybe they dodged a bullet there. Maybe Vegas is the lesser of two evils than I was anticipating. There were people who picked the Coyotes to win that series. Why? Arizona's going into an offseason where they are going to have a huge shakeup. Colorado is very much a team that I think is the favorite from the Western Conference right now. I think that's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty clear that team is just rolling. Dallas, I think will give them a good fight, but I think the Avalanche will win that in 6. They have just way more depth than the Stars do. The Stars are a much older and slower group. They don't have Ben Bishop. They only have Anton Khudobin, who's been a good goaltender, a serviceable goaltender. He's not Philip Grubauer. And Philip Grubauer is not necessarily a game-changing goalie either. I just think Philip Grubauer is better suited as a player, Philip Grubauer is a starting goaltender. Anton Khudobin is a backup, is a 1B. I think the Avalanche won't have their way with the Stars the way they did with the Coyotes, but I do think they'll win. Avalanche in 6 on that one. Tampa Bay, Boston. That is a rematch, I believe, of 2 playoffs ago when the Capitals won. I think they played each other and then Tampa won. Tampa's still without Steven Stamkos, but they looked very good against Columbus, and they won some games being the clear better team to Columbus and not playing down to their competition, which was their problem in the past. But Boston is missing Tuukka Rask. They have Jaro Halak. In net instead. That's a tough one. I think this is going to go 7 games either way. But I think right now, because of the mismatching goal, in particular, Vasilevsky versus Halak is definitely it's a tilted for sure. Even with Stamkos missing and the Bruins not missing any key contributors, I think I think Boston plays a more physical game. I would be shocked if Tampa didn't get past them just on the goaltending matchup alone. I think Halak can only do so much. I think this is going to be a tough run for them, but I think the Lightning will win in 7. I think it could really be a coin toss, honestly. That's the one series where I'm like, this could go either way. Philly versus the Islanders. The Islanders playing their defensive, boring-ass way into the playoffs with Barry Trotz. They destroyed the Capitals to a degree that I did not see coming. Really wrecked my bracket. Them and the Bruins really wrecked my bracket. But, Carter Hart was very good, has been very good in these playoffs. But so has Semyon Varlamov. He's been very good too. Obviously, defensively, the Islanders are clearly better than the Flyers. And I think they could definitely come out with the upset here, especially because the Flyers really had a rough time with Montreal. Even though it was a 6-game series, they had a hard time winning that series. They don't look like the team that won all their games in the round robin and dominated all the round robin opponents. Hopefully for their sake, they've woken up a little bit and they come into the Islanders series playing a lot better, a lot less timid. I think the Flyers will win in 6, but I think if the Islanders get the upper hand early in this series, it could be a quick win for them. So I'll say Flyers in 6 is my official pick because they're still my my pick to win the cup. But I would not be surprised if the Islanders won, say, a game or two, or won the first game, or won the first 2 games, or even the first game. I feel like they have the momentum that could carry them and win that series kind of quickly. I think it could be a quick series for the Isles if they get the upper hand early. And all right, now that we're through that, 2 things I wanted to talk about quickly before we call this an episode, because this has been a long episode. Oh, I guess there's 3 things I need to do here. Or no, okay, we're gonna quickly talk about sports fashion very quickly. One of them was the Buffalo Sabres. There's both good and bad in sports fashion. The good I wanted to show right here, where I'm going to show. I should have had this a little bit more prepped to go, but we're nonetheless screen 2. Let's do this. Okay, hopefully you can still see me. There we go. All right. This is my prep sheet. Here we go. The Buffalo Sabres have returned to royal blue jerseys finally. Like, this has been the worst kept secret in the league, but I just quickly wanted to go look at them because, wow, they're beautiful. Like, oh, they nailed it on these jerseys. I just wanted to go over these because I feel like, one of the staples of the show is that we talk about jerseys and sports and hockey jerseys and stuff because I love them with so much. And the Sabres finally got rid of they don't look too different. They look a little bit different from the jerseys, other than they've switched from navy blue to royal blue, and it looks so much better. Especially that white jersey, the road jersey. Oh, those look amazing. They got rid of the numbers on the front of the jersey, thank God, because that was stupid and gimmicky, and I hated them. But I mean, I don't see how you can go wrong. I'm glad they listened to their fans and they finally brought back royal blue. They look amazing. They're instantly one of the best jerseys in the league. Soon the Senators are going to be bringing back their logo from their 90s jerseys, and the league's uniform stats are going to get so much better with just these two changes. They look great. The Sabres might not win a lot of games next year again, but they're going to look good in defeat at the very least. The bad stuff I wanted to go over was this thing that came across my timeline the other day, this is an article from Gizmodo. This is the cargo shorts hat that the MLB is bringing, or that New Era is putting together for the MLB. Why? Why is this a thing? I don't understand this at all. So it's a regular baseball cap that you also has attached pockets to the side like cargo shorts do. It's supposed to be able to hold things on your head, and for the low price of just $120. $120 to get pockets on your hat? Why? Like, who is stupid enough to buy this? First of all, like, what are you going to be able to carry? Like, they're like, oh, you can hold your phone in here. No, you can't. Have you seen the size of phones? Hats are not big enough to carry a damn phone. And what, you want to be like balancing that on the top of your head? Are you nuts? I might buy one of these just out of pure curiosity and like on the purpose specifically for the show, and like we'll show it and be like, is this practical, and put it as like a gimmick. I might buy one just for out of the pure stupidity of it, and fascination at whose dumbass idea was this. New Era has teamed up with Tom Bogo label to create the cargo cap. And cargo shorts are already apparently very disliked by everybody as a summer fashion choice. But the idea is, it can be used to carry a folding flip phone. Because yes, those are kind of making a comeback in 2020. Your keys, and again, how are you're gonna balance these on your head? Like, that's gonna be so weird and bumbling. Why? What does this help? What problems are you solving? Has anybody come to you and be like, I really wish I could put stuff in my hat. I could really wish I had pockets on my hat. Who made this request, right? It's $120. I don't know what the MLB, I mean, clearly baseball let them do this because these are all MLB hats. And they're specially made MLB hats. Baseball just keeps finding new ways to be just disappointing and sad and old-fashioned. Oh, baseball. Why do you need this? Why? I don't get this at all. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Do people want me to buy one of these hats to check out? And if so, what team should I get? We might do this. We might, just for the absolute joke of it, to say we bought one and then put it like in the background behind us. I mean, I buy stupid things all the time. Like, I bought like those Tim Hortons locker things that have like a little stick in them. I'm still in the screen sharing, which is stupid because I want to stop sharing. I want to stop sharing here. Like, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Back to normal. I bought one of these things. These things were $6, which are overly priced, but I'm a sucker who bought one. And now it's going to probably be, or bought one, I should say. I bought 5 because I'm that dumb. But this is the thing. We might just have to keep buying stupid stuff and doing like a stupid product corner or something in the show. But stupid sports hockey product corner because they're fun because why not? Like, oh, but that is atrocious. I would never be caught out dead wearing one of those in public. Oh my God. don't be that person. Don't be the person who buys the fucking cargo cap because you think it'll make you look cool. It won't, and it won't help you carry anything either. And with that, I think this is an episode. Thank you so much for watching or listening. And also thank you for getting me to 300 followers on Twitter. I really, really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You know, when I started doing the blog 5 years ago with videos and other stuff, I was always hoping that someday, you know, it would gather a following and it would get people to get into it. And it's been great. I've been really having a great time doing this. 5 years later, and we're covering playoff games finally. We're here in August talking about a Canucks team that's heading to the second round to play the Vegas Golden Knights, which wasn't even a thing when I started the website. And you know, I wouldn't be here in Vancouver or doing this or going after this dream of being a hockey writer for a living without you guys. So thank you so much for that. If you enjoyed this show, be sure to check out my Patreon for a little less than one iced more than one iced coffee a month. You get bonus episodes of the show every week. You get exclusive looks at some articles and other stuff that I'm writing for the site, and more, and a couple other perks on the way. I believe I have a couple things in the works for that. At the very least, you can check out my work at lachinthecrease.com for free. You can do that just to support me and to support the show. You can also subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and leave a like on the YouTube video for this. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you after whenever we do the next podcast. I'm not sure if I'll do one after game 1 or game 2. Still figuring that out. I will let you know as we get there. But for now, thank you for listening. The Vancouver Canucks are heading to the second round. It's gonna be fun. No matter how this goes, this has been the greatest ride, and this has been such a fun. It's made 2020 so much better, just knowing that we get to go through this. And hey, 2 more weeks of hockey. Always look on the bright side. There's 2 more, at the very least, this Vancouver Canucks team. There's 2 more weeks of Canucks hockey left this year. Thank you for listening. I will see you next time. Take care.